Claire pretended to check her watch, angling her wrist so the concealed film caught the ambient light. A faint series of numbers glowed briefly before fading coordinates, or perhaps a countdown. 4 blocks east, she murmured. There is a gallery with a rear service exit. He then gave an almost imperceptible nod, having just sent his cuffling signal to Siri. Claire drifted toward the crosswalk, her steps up against the white pavement. The figure near the newspaper stand shifted, discarding an unread paper with deliberate casualness. At the gallery entrance, Claire paused beneath a sensor light that flickered inconsistently. The lobby was empty except for a bored attendant absorbed in a phone screen. Claire passed the exhibit and moved toward a plain door marked Steph Followed, navigating with the ease of someone who understood blind spots. The hinges protested softly, but the attendant never looked up. The surface of the stairwell smelled old, paint, and damp concrete. Claire descended 2 flights before stopping. The film at her wrist pulsed faintly warm against the fabric. She unfolded it. The one's blank surface displayed a shifting grid of intersecting lines, not a map, but a system layout. Ventilation, perhaps. Power routing. Then it resolved into a single line. He knows your tells. I wrote her. The stairwell door opened slowly. Footsteps followed, measured on her aid. Claire folded the film and pressed it flat against her palm as the overhead light went dark. But footsteps paused. In the silence, she sensed a subtle change in the air pressure and tension. She released a quiet breath. 3 more steps descended. Then stillness again. The film grew warmer, almost uncomfortable. She forced herself not to move. I narrowed in, but the light slipped across the steps as the door rolled open further. Dust drifted through. Claire pressed herself against the concrete wall, calculating distance and angles. The film paused once, then went still. It always favored aids had Smith's unreliable lighting. Ethan's voice said from above. The cadence was right, but something underneath wasn't. Too even. Too delayed. The real Ethan would have mentioned the gallery's faulty motion sensors first. The following is a work of fiction and is intended for mature audiences. It contains psychological suspense, mature themes of corruption and digital crime, and implied scenes of threat and disruption. Viewer discretion is advised. The Lie had lingered Chapter 6 Psychological Thriller Predator Psychology officially your shoelace is untied, the man said, explaining toward Kim's fate. Kim briefly glanced down. His laces were perfectly tied. His pulse quickened as he studied the man's face for any clue, but she was already turning away, blending into the lunchtime crowd. He hated when people told the truth, even in the details. This reflex brought him back to a familiar sensation of his jacket pocket seam. The smooth weight of the object was still there, reassuring under his fingers. Time buzzed around him with lively conversations, forks brushing against porcelain, steam hissing from the espresso machine. Near the counter, a bar stewed a bit too loudly. Kim inhaled the caramelized, sugar-scented the pastries and something indefinable underneath tension, perhaps. He flexed his hand, counting the ridges of his knuckles. 3 deep breaths. Control was everything. The man's presence lingered somewhat in his chest like a persistent alert. He followed her progress through the room, gray trench coat, auburn hair tied in a loose bun. She stopped at a table, exchanging pleasantries with a man in a navy blue suit. Kim noticed the way her fingers brushed the man's shoulder, the calculated ease of her smile. another social mask then. They were everywhere for those who knew how to look. His coffee had gone cold. He lifted the cup anyway, letting the bitterness go with his tone as he assessed the distance to the exit, the angle of the cafe's security cameras. The weight of the object in his pocket remained an anchor, a reminder that he was there to observe, not to intervene without necessity. He imagined instead the precise moment when contradictions in someone's behavior would reveal themselves, the way the veneer of calm would crack when the facts no longer align. But not here. Too many variables. Too much noise. The man threw his head back to laugh at something the man had said, revealing the veiled line of her neck. Kim's vision there virtually outlined action to take, but on the details, the rhythm of her breathing, a slight tremor of her shoulders when she laughed, the way her gaze shifted around the room. His own breath synced with this observation. He could already picture the instant when, confronted with precise questions, her expression would betray hesitation, that small discrepancy between what she said and what she truly knew. She turned slightly and looked over her shoulder in his direction, as if sensing the presence of his analytical gaze. Kim didn't flinch. He let his lips curve into something polite, neutral, while his mind cataloged her reactions, the micro-pause in her breathing, the way her pupils contracted. She sensed she was being watched. Well, she suspected it. It didn't matter. The moment she turned back to her companion, Kim was already mentally mapping out the discreet routes out of the cafe. The side door near the restrooms, the alley behind the dumpster where the cameras didn't cover all angles. He wasn't there to provoke chaos, but to understand what lay beneath the surface. And sometimes observing was enough. This is a work of fiction. All characters and events are entirely fictional. Inside the mind of Kim Laura, Chapter 7, psychological thriller predator, psychology official, the weight in his pocket was steady. Constant. We're reminded that some things once noticed couldn't be ignored. Later, he imagined her sitting alone with a cooling cup of coffee, replaying the moment in her mind. The look he had given her. The pause. The doubt. Wondering if he had imagined the distance in his eyes. He hoped he would. Uncertain he had a way of growing on its own. He stood from the table, auburn hair catching the light as he gathered her purse. A few quiet words to the man in the navy suit, and he turned toward the exit. Kim noticed the hesitation in her step, just a fraction of a second. Enough. He left the bill behind and followed, his movements unremarkable, his expression calm. Outside, the city had changed. Clouds rolled in, muting the afternoon light. Rain slid to the pavement, blurry reflections into something unreadable. He adjusted his pace, letting distance do the work for him. He stopped once, letting the group of tourists pass between them. Laughter and noise. Covered. He focused on details instead. The rhythm of her steps. The way her coat shifted in the wind. The object in his pocket pressed gently against his leg, grounding him to slowing his breath. He didn't rush. There was no need. The bookstore appeared ahead, narrow and quiet. He paused beneath its awning, pretending to check his phone while watching the class. Inside, he stood at the counter buying a book. A paperback. Flipped neatly into her bank. The cashier's mug. Kim looked away, already mapping the space. Entrances. Sightlines. Habits. The bell rang as the couple stepped out. still laughing at something only they understood. Kim went in as they left. The smell of old paper filled the room. Calm. Controlled. He had moved to the poetry section, fingers trailing along the spines as if he were searching for something he hadn't named yet. He picked up a book at random and opened it, not reading. Watching. The lights hummed overhead, stretching shadows between the hills. Time felt slower here. He stopped at a wuthering height. Lifted it carefully, like it mattered. The precision of the gesture tightened something in his chest. He recognized that kind of care. Intentional. Measured. For a moment, he wondered what he hid behind the calm surface. The flash sharpened his focus. Attachment, he reminded himself, was dangerous. He took her hair behind her ear. That's when he saw the scar. Small. Crescent shaped. Imperfect. Real. His pulse shifted not faster, just different. He noticed everything now. The tip polish on her thumb. The way he bit her cheek when thinking. People rehearse their stories. They forgot the details.